Hello, welcome to this next episode of YouTube. Sorry for the delay. It's just been one day after another of cold weather here for wolves and not a lot else getting done. Not to mention the fact that the cameras don't function in 20 below weather. So today is a little bit of a warm spell. We're up to 9 degrees, so we're all happy. And so the big question on everyone's mind is, how do the wolves deal with the cold? These are animals who live outdoors and, as you can see here, have a lot of activity in the cold weather. Actually, this is the time of the year when they're very active, and that is one method that keeps them warm, is moving around. You'll oftentimes see where they will pick up a foot or two where they have some cold pads, but for the most part the wolves do quite well in colder weather. It's actually heat that causes more of a problem for them. So we do a couple of things, and we have a few adaptations that we see on the wolves that make them deal with cold temperatures, and one of them is that really dense undercoat that is beneath the long guard hairs, and Denali has a better undercoat than probably the rest of the pack here. Luna's is not quite as thick, but she certainly manages quite well. The other thing that we can do is make them more comfortable by giving them an insulated bed of straw, and I've mentioned before, this is something that we do on a regular basis, and literally I've been here every day since Christmas, making sure that they have that straw bed raked up and available as the temperatures cool down. The other things that they do is they like the placement of the straw bed because it is right out in the open, and they get that direct southern exposure, so that sun coming onto the bed also makes it for a very comfortable place to rest. And actually, we've been watching them even on the security cameras at night. They've been staying out, even though they have straw in the dens, and the dens are a little bit warmer. They seem to want to stay right in the front of the exhibit, and we've been seeing that on the infrared cameras that they've been bedding there at night. So that's how they're doing. They're just wolves. They're maintaining. We are feeding every day. That is one thing that this time of the year the budget kind of takes a hit, because we're purchasing more beef and chicken, smaller items that we can feed, that they'll consume at one given time and not freeze, like the beaver and the deer. I mean, they're still getting beaver and deer on a regular basis, but what ends up happening is those larger carcasses that we feed are lost to ravens scavenging, or are frozen, so that it takes that many more calories for them to chew on frozen meat. So we're buying smaller portions, especially for the retirees. These guys actually can finish off a beaver in an hour. Matter of fact, Luna laid on 4 deer legs the other day, wouldn't let anyone have them. By the next morning, 2 of them were chewed down to the bone. So we know that they're getting plenty of resources. So Luna's legs actually doing quite well. She has not been really limping and showing issues. Obviously, it's got that kind of stance. It's her back right leg. That's the problem one, but she's been doing quite well on it, even despite this cold weather. So that's what we try to do, and like I said, the straw beds are probably the biggest investment that we can do, and keeping them close to the building. There may be some radiant heat that's coming from the building as well, but it also keeps them in front of the cameras, and that's one thing that I'm hoping to have in the next couple of weeks, is to get our surveillance cameras up and live that will have night vision, that hopefully they have a little bit broader view of the pen than the current camera. The current camera, again, is just a webcam that's inside the building that shoots through the window, and we're hoping to have that live relatively soon. But it is a great view for us from the surveillance point of view, is we can see 24 hours a day the front of the enclosure. We can see what they're up to, and because it has night vision capabilities, there isn't anything that goes unnoticed, and in the past we had that problem with that, and that has been resolved here by having a good surveillance system. So anyways, so Grizzer is not left out of the straw issues. You'll notice that Luna's got the exhibit pack has got cover hay, which is a little bit different than the straw, and basically its coloration is different, but the cover hay seems a little bit softer, and so we are using cover hay for Luna. Again, we want to do whatever we can to make her comfortable. And not saying that Grizzer doesn't need a softer bed, but Grizzer's got a little bit of extra cushioning on his body that makes it more comfortable for him. And we're not just talking about hair. Grizzly does have a good, thick undercoat, but he also has a little bit more body fat than Luna does. And we intentionally keep Luna a little bit on the thin side. We know that weight can affect joints, and so we want to make sure that she's lean and mean and doing well on the joint-related issues, but also doing well in the warmth issue. So like I say, Grizzly's got plenty of warmth. And so over in retirement, we also have a couple of wolves who not only have plenty of warmth, but maybe genetically coded to love this kind of weather. We see very little issues with the Arctics in 20, 30, or 40 degree below zero weather. They seem to be adapted to it, and physically they're adapted to it. You notice on the Arctic wolves, their ears are a little bit shorter, a little bit more rounded, a little bit more hair. Those are all ways of physical adaptations to reduce the surface veins exposure to the cold and make them a little bit more efficient in retaining heat. And they are doing quite well in it. As a matter of fact, Shadow seems to do a face plant every time we go in, and it's 20 or 30 below zero. He's just rubbing his face in the snow and running and interacting. So definitely adapted for cold weather. So that's about it. Again, we'll get back to hopefully a better routine, but the cameras didn't even want to move when it was 20 degrees below zero, and that was our daytime high for a few days, so it was difficult to get some footage. So hopefully we're on a normal track. Well, normal is relative. So we know that the days are getting longer and the sun is getting higher every day is one day closer to warmer weather. So enjoy and hope everyone's doing well. See you next week.